This is the best ever meatloaf recipe from the 1974 Centennial Cookbook, compiled by the St. Paul's Lutheran Church DORCAS Society in East Troy, Wisconsin. This is my favorite meatloaf. The addition of the carrots makes it a good and nutritious way to put extra vitamins into your meal. It is one of my favorites. Break 2 eggs into a large mixing bowl. It says break eggs into large mixing bowl, beat slightly with a fork. Add milk, salt and pepper, and crumbled bread. And this is 2/3 cup of milk. Two teaspoons of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. 3 slices of bread crumbled. This is bakery bread. I didn't bake this myself. It's from the deli bakery area. Okay, and then it says beat until the bread has disintegrated. I think if you let this set for a minute, that it would absorb it more and then dissolve easier. After the crumbled bread has disintegrated, we add the onion, carrots, cheese, and beef and mix well. And it calls for a 1/2 cup of shredded carrots. And these carrots are still from my garden last summer. And this onion it says 1 onion chopped, but this was an awfully big onion, so I'm not going to use it all. Maybe about half of it will do. And then the cheese is 1 cup of shredded cheese. It calls for 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. And I used mild cheddar cheese in there. I suppose you can use medium or sharp. 1.5 pounds of ground beef. But I have 2 pounds thawed here, so I'm just going to use the whole thing. That looks like a lot of filling anyway. And it says mix well. Pack into loaf pan, a 9 by 5 inch pan, and combine a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, a 1/4 cup of ketchup, and a tablespoon of prepared mustard to spread over the top. Bake at 350 for 1 hour. I am not going to add the topping right away. I'm going to let it bake halfway through. I'm going to bake it in this mold. And after it's halfway through baked, I'm going to tip it out and then sugar topping on top. My hands are clean. I've washed them several times already. Oh, I'll leave that good carrot in there. Use this large spoon to put it into the mold. Well, I think that 1.5 pounds would have been just enough for this mold. I think this 2 pounds is too much. I'll put the rest in this small loaf pan. Okay, hey, I put it into the mold, and then the leftovers I put into this small loaf pan. Right now it goes into the oven for 1 hour. That was 1 hour for a 9 by 5, so this one shouldn't take as long, quite as long. Maybe 3/4 of an hour, and I'll check it. The 9 by 5-inch loaf pan is said to bake at 350 for 1 hour. I'm going to do the mold for about 40 minutes and then unmold it onto the pan, the cookie sheet, and then I'll put the topping, the ketchup brown sugar glaze on the top. And then I'll see you then. When I bake potatoes, I put them on a skewer because the heat going through the rod helps the insides to get done better. My mother always put her potatoes on a skewer. She had regular potato pokers. They were smaller than this, and then each one had its own potato steak or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to put the meatloaf on this other plate here, and then I'll show you when it's done. Made peas, and I put those in the center, and then we'll have baked potatoes as well. And one of the little things that we always did when I was a kid is my mother would cut the potato, instead of lengthwise, she'd cut it crosswise. And she would scoop out all the potato onto our plate. And then she'd butter our potato, but then she'd also fill the empty potato skin with some butter and put salt and pepper in there as well. And we used to fight over those potato skins when my father didn't want the skin. He just wanted the potato, and we wanted his skins. I hope you will try this vintage recipe for best ever meatloaf. Please like and subscribe and share this video with your friends. Until next time, goodbye.